Hi everybody, it's Ross from Miami's 11. Hope you're safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. We'd like to thank our channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. I guess literally just decided to change his act just before we started, so that's why I'm laughing. It's today's guest is Ashley. Listen to him doing his silly his stories, songs about all the players and things like that. And how are we doing, Ash, man? How are you, man?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. How are you in this weird world we live in now?
Yeah, trooping on, man. You know, it's just weird, isn't it? But still working every day. So yeah, it's just take some time to adjust like everybody else, really.
It is, isn't it? It's just one of those things where you got to adjust, and there's nothing you can do about it, is it? Just got to, keep calm and carry on type thing, innit? Just grin and bear it. But
That's
it is what
exactly
it
it,
is.
mate. Yeah, man.
It is what it is. But I'm actually surprised me how some people have adjusted to it. Like my mother-in-law, for example, she's a bit of a technophobe, and then she's had to learn how to do FaceTime and WhatsApp and stuff like that to communicate with people. It's and things like this, as you said, like doing interviewing a lot of the older players, for example, as well. They're not used to doing these types of things. They do face-to-face, evenings with West Ham legends and stuff, but they've all had to adapt. And it's not a bad thing, I suppose. It's like the football, isn't it? It's like it's like watching West Ham on on telly rather than at the London Stadium. It's just weird, isn't it? It's becoming a norm.
Man. Yeah, it's becoming the norm. It is becoming the norm, man. That is true.
Do you when you're watching the football, do you listen to it with the crowd noise on or the crowd noise off?
I have to have it on, man. I listen to it with it off for a while because it's interesting to hear the players shouting, but it just isn't the same, is it? It just ain't the same. No. I have to have the fans on, man. I have to. I know it's fake, but still in my head, it's like I need it. I can't help it.
Well, it's sort of sort of background noise, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like and it just fades into the back. It's not real, but it's like when the old American shows, isn't it? The comedy ones, the laughter. You just have to have some sort of feedback, even if it is fake. It's something though, and we're doing all right, aren't we? We're doing okay at the moment.
To be fair, you've got to give it to Moyes and the boys. To be fair, well, after that 3-0 drubbing at the start of the season, I feared the worst. I thought, oh no, here we go. But we rolled our socks up quite quickly, really, and we had to. We didn't have a lot of choice, really. Let's put it right. Do you know what I mean? So we've come through a tough patch. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, our season starts at Fulham. Debatable about the result, but we got it, and that's the main thing. You move on, didn't you?
And that's the thing, years, throughout all of my West Ham fan career, those are the games that we never win. Do you know what I mean? It's always
100%.
those, and to actually play badly and win, that's something very rarely happens with a West Ham team. We usually play badly and lose. We don't play badly and win. So
the funny thing was, I was actually playing Call of Duty with my mates because I wasn't playing for the game. I had the stream up on the side, and we scored in the 92nd minute. And obviously, I was like, "Gas!" I was like, "Yeah!" And I was like, "I guarantee you, we concede now."
Yeah.
And then 4 or 5 minutes later, whatever, it's that penalty. I was like, no. I had my hand on my mic on my PlayStation because if that penalty went in, I was going to yoink that out. I was gone. I was going to bed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done. That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. Yeah, another funny story as well. The geezer, because I live in a flat. The geezer lives above me. He's a Tottenham fan. And when I watch on the PlayStation, it's because it's streamed from Sky. It's probably about 10 seconds behind or whatever.
Yeah.
And when we first played Tottenham, I could hear him cheering 10 seconds before the goal would go in. So I had to start listening to it with headphones in. And then when we played Tottenham the other day and we come back from 3-0 down, man, I had my headphones in. So obviously I couldn't hear him. But I see him outside a couple of days later and he was like, "Did you enjoy that? Did you?" I could hear you coming through the roof. Oh, man, I was so hyped there. It's unbelievable.
But that's it. That's about being a West Ham fan, isn't it, Ash? You know what I mean? In terms of those, that's why I think we're a special, a unique bunch of fans because we don't get those highs too often in the season, but when we do, we love them. We know when they're coming as well. Like Tottenham, it's like it's always that when it's 3-1, then it went 3-2. You thought, oh, there's definitely a goal in. And then when obviously Bale missed that sort of open, 1-on-1, and you're thinking that's it, that's us. And
shout out to Yarmolenko there. Yarmolenko running from right wing, sprinting back in the last couple of minutes to put him off. Man, he didn't get enough credit for that. That was unbelievable. That was as important as Lanzini's goal, because if you don't put him off, that's a goal, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Some of these Gareth Bale's sort of skill and it was just funny, wasn't it? Just because it was his homecoming, and it's like, because when he signed, he said he wasn't going to be playing until the West Ham game, and he was like, oh, here we go. You just know, like, Gareth Bale masterclass coming on, but it's all good, and that's why we love him. Because
Gareth Bale v West Ham, wasn't it? It weren't Tottenham. It was Gareth Bale. It's all they kept going on about. It was Bale. It was Lanzini, actually, to be fair.
It was actually Lanzini. And I thought it was funny, because Obiang, didn't he, put something out on Instagram beforehand, like, this was the best goal I've ever scored. And then he sort of went, okay, maybe it's the second best goal now. You know what I mean?
That was a pony game and all, wasn't it? That game where Obiang scored. I think it was like our first shot or something. And it was like a 30-yard pinger. Because that was when they had the same game. Son scored a 30-yard pinger as well, wasn't it? Equalised.
Yeah. But that's it. And obviously, we got. So you said our season started at Fulham. You're probably right about that. But we already had eight points in the bag or so. So it wasn't too bad, isn't it? So yeah. And then we obviously.
But it's the West Ham way, though, isn't it? We've picked up all these points along the road, and we'll go and lose all the games we should be getting points. Yes. It's just the way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we got Sheffield United on the weekend, and we got Villa in it, and then I can't remember after that. But yeah, I mean, Villa are playing well though, aren't they? So it's like that'll be a good game. But obviously, they're playing at our place. But yeah, Sheffield United it'll be just. I think the Sheffield United game will be just like the Fulham game. Do you know what I mean? Just like it'll be tight, and have to grind it out, and then hopefully we'll get something, and it'll be Moyes. Doesn't change tactics, but need to win.
There's always a bit of spice between us and Sheffield United, and there's always that little bit of venom. I don't know why. I know why, obviously, but I don't know why. I just love getting one. I don't know why, but I associate, and I know it is why, because Sean Bean supports them. But whenever we beat Sheffield United, I just can't help but think of Sean Bean just crying. I don't know why. I don't know why.
What was the film? It's When Saturday Comes, wasn't it? When he played a Sheffield United player, I think, in the movie. No, definitely. I always thought it was funny when we played Cardiff the season before last, and obviously Neil Warnock was the manager, and everyone was still chanting. All the London Stadium were chanting, "There's only one Carlos Tevez." I'm like, oh, give it a rest. It's not even the same club now.
I love it.
Always keep those
winding them up. You've got to wind them up, that's what we're about. We like take the mick, don't we?
We ain't going to win the league, but we just wind people up and win the occasional big one against the big boys, and that's it. That's our season, isn't it? But we'll see, man. We'll see. I've got a feeling this year. I've got a feeling we'll have enough points by Christmas to have a proper go at the cup. That's what I reckon.
I'd hope so. That's the dream, isn't it? FA Cup final, man.
Yeah, you can't do it. I mean, you can't. I mean, the Carabao Cup or whatever they call it, Milk Cup, Worthington Cup, Carling Cup, whatever. It starts so early on in the season that any team below sixth traditionally aren't going to put a strong team out because they want to get the points to stay up, and so it favours the Man Cities and stuff like that. Whereas obviously the FA Cup, come January, what your season's going to be like, bar a complete meltdown. If you're down there, you're still down. But if you're sort of 10th or whatever, unless there's a real cock up, you won't have problems this year. So they have a proper go at it, but we'll see. But it'll be typical West Ham. We've waited 40 years to win an FA Cup, and we'll end up doing it with no fans. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's such a West Ham thing, isn't it? It's like, for God's sake. But
man. I'll take it. I'll take
anything. I wouldn't mind. I would love to have won the League Cup. That's one we haven't won yet, but FA Cup, man. Anything. Just to get rid of the nightmare of 2006. I
don't want to talk about that. That hurts.
It's like when you interview the players, like you interview like Conch and Matty Etherington and people like that, and they still you talk it and they just shake their heads straight away. It's like it's
it hurts,
14 years ago.
It hurts. It feels like it was yesterday, and every time every time you see like the FA Cup match of the day come on, and it's
Yeah.
like and you see all the goals. The last one is always Gerrard's goal going in before the game starts, man. Still to this day, the only game of football that's ever made me cry.
Yeah.
Ah, it hurts, man. It hurts.
It does.
It really
Yeah.
does.
It was just such a weird game that was, because you walked out thinking you'd won, and you still thought you
Oh,
won
man.
when you're walking down the road, when all the scousers were like shaking your hand and saying, we stole that one. And it's like,
Oh.
yeah,
But it means so little to them, but it would have been
exactly.
everything to us.
Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, look,
Oh,
we revere a team that finishes third. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I
The
know.
boys of '86, it's like we finished third. We didn't, we didn't win it, but we still, treat this
Yeah,
team. It just shows West Ham. It's like, well done, you finished third, but we still talk. We still have special night evenings and stuff for you boys, and you finished third. And it's like, well, if that's our benchmark already, isn't it? So it's like,
yeah,
so it's when you war songs about things fading and dying, you know what I mean? It's like with the
yeah,
bubbles, you set yourself up to fail already. But it's the West Ham way, in it, Ash,
yeah.
mate, more than anything.
That is it.
Is it in it? That's why I think that's, and I've put this sort of analogy together that being a West Ham fan, it's like learning to play the guitar. So like when you learn to play the guitar, you got to like basically get your calluses on your fingers. So you got to like play guitar a lot, and so you get extra skin basically on your fingers, so it sort
Yeah,
of doesn't hurt. And that's been like a West Ham fan. So losing
yeah.
doesn't really hurt to us anymore as much now, because we're used to it,
Yeah,
and so we've had to
yeah,
build that tolerance up. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah. No, I get
that's
that. That's a
that,
good analogy. That I
yeah.
like that.
That's why
Yeah,
we're like the way we are, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Even when you win, even that Tottenham game, so even that Lanzini game, fantastic, euphoric. Within 2 minutes, Twitter was like, "Oh, we shouldn't have been 3-0 down at half time. Moyes out." It's like, oh,
yeah. I know.
just like enjoy it. Enjoy
I
it.
know.
We're so,
I know.
we're doing these 8 points, and the first thing one says, "Oh, we're probably going to lose against Fulham." It's like, well,
Yeah, I
we
know.
might not.
Twitter's just doom and gloom, and
It
you
is.
got to take the rough with the smooth there. I know better than most, I imagine,
Yeah,
the abuse you can get pinged at you on Twitter. And I'm not. The funny thing is, I'm not even a particularly thick-skinned character,
yeah,
but I've evolved a little bit, if you know what I mean. Where it doesn't
yeah,
really faze me that much now. But at the beginning, I was like, "Wow, is this worth me putting myself out there to do that?"
yeah.
But in reality, yeah, of course it is. So.
Yeah, and I think you put on, the like he's Twitter more than anything. He just put this like, I don't know, like a persona on. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is Twitter, and so like when I say to people, I'll put it on Twitter. I don't put everything on my Facebook, because it's like
yeah,
Facebook's different. It just seems a bit different. So Twitter
yeah,
is
yeah,
sort of almost like the West Ham stuff, and Facebook's the Facebook stuff. And
yeah,
sometimes there's a crossover, but not too much. But yeah, I know what you mean. You have to be sort of fixed, but take the rough with the smooth, innit? So like have a giggle,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then be open to take the piss out yourself, innit? And so that's
I'm
what I
more
do.
than up for that. I'm pretty
Yeah,
much am the epitome of taking the piss out of yourself, am I not?
exactly.
Oh man,
Exactly, man. Exactly, and that's what it's all about. You can't take yourself too seriously. Life's too short as it is.
nah, man,
Do you know what I
nah,
mean?
man.
Particularly now, with all this stuff that's going on at the moment, the world's on its arse. It's like, in the day, you can't take yourself too seriously. But yeah, and enjoy every moment while you last, man. So anyway, so we'll see. So
Exactly.
hopefully we'll get 3 points against Sheffield United now, because we said that. So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I hope so.
I
Man.
wish. My ex housemate
Yeah.
at uni was a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so he used to come with me to Bramall Lane when West Ham and playing Sheffield United. So I've always had this
Oh,
extra
yeah,
spice when it comes to Sheffield United, just
yeah,
because
yeah.
of East Day, and obviously being a Wednesday fan. But no, it's all good, man. Right, first question. 14
Go
minutes
on,
in. That's quite
let's
good.
go.
That's quite good for me. Is why are you a West Ham fan, Ash? What's your story? Why do you adorn yourself with the claret and blue?
Mine's like a bit of a sad tale, really, because
Oh,
I always see your people on Twitter talking and interviews, and they're like, "Why did you West Ham?" Oh, well, I went
yeah,
with my dad, and blah blah blah. But mine is like a bit different because I grew up in quite a rural place. Rural, is that the way? In the
yeah,
countryside, basically.
yeah,
So I was pretty much a loner when I was a kid. So I never really liked football.
yeah.
My family was never a football orientated family or anything. My uncle tried pushing me into football. Funnily enough, Spurs. So I used to wax Spurs shirts on me. I used to run around not really knowing the
Yeah.
kind of fool I was making myself look like. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I never really liked football, and then I moved to like an estate, and then I met my pal, and he's unbelievable footballer. Like he
Yeah.
had trials for Ipswich when they were in the Premier League, Tottenham. He was like unbelievable, and that's all he cared about was football. So naturally, I like gravitated a little bit more to football. Um, but he was a Liverpool fan, so obviously I was just like, all right, cool. So I'll just support Liverpool as well then. Once again, not really knowing the ramifications, or an idiot I was making myself look like. So I was like, yeah, I like Liverpool, whatever. And then, this is like up till when so I'm 32 now. I was probably, by the way, my memory is terrible. Like, I mean,
Doesn't matter, don't worry.
I genuinely think I've got the worst memory in the world ever. But, so I'm going to say I was probably about 12 or 13 at this point.
Yeah.
And then, my other two mates were like big West Ham fans, like proper West Ham fans. And I remember, my mate was like, me and my uncle and that we're going to a West Ham game. Do you want to come? There's a spare ticket. And I was like, cool. We was in Championship at this point. I was like, yeah, but I'm a Liverpool fan. I was like, don't worry about that. We'll convert you. Don't
Yeah.
worry. So we're on a car journey on the car journey up there. And honestly, this is how bad my memory is. And this is another thing. Everyone's like, I remember the first game. You never forget it. Well, I do, because I'm terrible.
Yeah.
We was on the way up this Championship. It was like Bradford or Brentford or just someone. I'm sure they began with a B, maybe Bristol. I can't remember. Anyway, we got stuck in like the worst traffic jam of all time, man. We couldn't get to the game. We was listening to it on the radio. I think it ended up finishing like 4-4 or something. But I was just listening to it on the radio, and I was just mesmerised, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm a West Ham fan, man." And then that was it. That was it. That's literally all it was. And then ever since then, I've just been and to consolidate that I was a West Ham fan. As soon as I was like 17, I went and got them tattooed on my back. Like, no changing now.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
Late.
But it's a strange tale, because there's no like real reason. There's no like family. My real dad is a Manchester United fan.
Yeah.
I grew up with my nan and granddad, basically. So my dad was a Man United fan. He's all lived in the same house.
Yeah.
One of my uncles was a Tottenham fan. One of my other uncles was a Leicester fan. And my granddad was a Charlton fan, and my nan was an Arsenal fan. Yeah, and then I'm a West Ham fan. That's 6 different teams in the same house. How does that work? Do you know what I mean?
No.
It doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's basically it, really. So, when there was like the Canio and Dixie and all that running about, I wasn't really interested in football. But I know, because I've obviously, because I endear to West Ham so much, I looked it all up. I've gone through all the history, and I've watched all the videos and that. But at the time, I was never at them games. I was never watching Dixie smash a penalty. I was never watching Dixie put someone through the stands and Di Canio and all that. But I know how special they are, obviously, because I've endeared myself to it. Yeah. But it makes me a little bit sad that I never experienced it with the fans at the time. But so when it comes to like my 11, I haven't really given it much thought. You have to bear with me on that. But it'd probably be a lot more modern than most would be. And I might stick a couple of them in, just out of, because I know what they mean to the club. But yeah, it's just a bit of a sad tale for me, really.
No, it's just different. It's a different story, isn't it? It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how what path they take. The fact is, you picked West Ham, or West Ham sort of picked you, kind of, through fate. And the rest is history, isn't it, man? I mean, you branded yourself, so that's it. You're done now.
I'm well and truly done, man.
Exactly. Everyone's story is slightly different, and that's why I like asking that question, because it is like, doesn't matter how people get there. Think the guys in, I don't know, Fresno, California, and stuff like that. They just picked West Ham. It's like, what I mean?
True.
Or in India, I've had people of Bangalore who support West Ham. I've, a guy in Hong Kong and, in Australia, whatnot. And they all end up supporting. It's some weird story, where it might be some bloke. I don't know. There was one of them, I can't remember, one of the lads we was interviewing. And I was like, why were you a West Ham fan? He goes, oh, well, I was watching Match of the Day when I was 6 and it was on the telly. And I was talking to my old man, went, oh, what team do you support? I looked up and it was West Ham. And I went, oh, that team. And then 40 years later, he's still a season ticket holder. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's that weird fate.
But it just grips you, doesn't it? Like, and that's what I mean. It grips you. And But I've always had this demon inside me that's always thought, when I see all these stories and that on Twitter, it's like, well,
Yeah.
you're not a proper West Ham fan, though, are you, boy? Do you know what I mean? You're not a proper West Ham fan, but I am. You know, I live and breathe it. I love West Ham too much, if anything. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, it might be like you almost not overcompensate, but because you feel like you came in a little bit later.
Yeah.
But it's a generation. It's like it's as you said. Like there's people who I know I've interviewed who same as you never saw Julian Dix play, never saw DeCanio. I never saw Billy Bonds play or Trevor Brooking, and there's some people never saw Bobby Moore and stuff like that. So I'm sad that I never saw that sort of mid-80s team, because like everyone talks so excitedly about it, and Dev and people like that who I've interviewed. They're brilliant guys, lovely guys, but never saw them play live. And it's like you sort of having to watch old football clips, so to speak, to sort of get up to speed a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And but that's what it's all about, and that's why we do this 11 thing, because as you said, it's different generations. Now, yours might be more modern, but what's wrong with that? They're the people, and doesn't matter. And it's like you don't just because Julian Dix and DiCanio were modern day greats. If you didn't see them play, you don't have to put them in your team. That's the idea. So it just makes things a little bit more, people that are personal to you. Same as like I never put. I wasn't around to see Bobby Moore play, but if you said, if I said to you, what's your greatest West Ham 11, it will be Bobby Moore, Trevor Brooking.
Oh, yeah. You
Because
got
you
it,
saw
didn't
him. Yeah, you see, like he got to, but
yeah.
this is your 11, man. So it's my Hammer's 11, so it's your 11. So you put in who you want, man. But we'll crack on, because we'll go through it. We'll work through it together. It'll be like a process. Ash, it'll be a process. Right, so we'll start off in goals. As I said, the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play. So if you want to go and add in a Julian, that you can, but it's your 11. You can do whoever you want, whatever criteria. They don't have to be the best. They might be your favourite. It could be the worst, mate. It doesn't really matter, man. It's like your 11, and that's the beauty of it. Right, so let's start off in goal. Who would be in goal for the Harris Prince 11?
I mean, we ain't got much choice for me. Obviously, apart from Fabianski, it's Rob Green or bust, really. And who else have we had in goal that was decent for me? Do you know what I mean? Like,
goalkeepers have been all right. J-Mo was a good keeper for us. Shax, big fan of Shax.
Nah, man. Nah, FA Cup fight should have kept that out, man. I'm not having that.
Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker, I like Jim.
Nah, lovely bloke, but nah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say. Like Rob Green, because of the thing is with Rob Green, I really like him, but he's very similar to Andy Carroll in the respect that I once saw an interview or a comment from him, and he says like, I don't even like football. I'm just good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I play. And I never liked that. I feel like if you play for West Ham and you're a footballer, I feel like for me, it's the ultimate. Do you know what I mean? And for you and for most people. So that seems a bit disrespectful for me. So controversially, maybe, I'm going to say Fabianski, because I genuinely think he's the best goalkeeper we've had. And it's a shame. It's a shame how old we got him, man. Really is.
And that's the thing. I reckon what we've got, season and a half left with him. Do you reckon?
Yeah, you can tell he's starting to go a little bit, isn't he? Yeah. You know what I mean? He's making some controversial decisions now and then, and he's pulled up a couple of times, isn't he?
Yeah. So I just think he's yes. I think it's a shame we couldn't have got him 2-3 seasons earlier. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it'd been a different gravy for us in terms of where he is. He's still, I think, technically he's the best goalkeeper I've ever seen at West Ham.
He's great. He's so commanding, and it's been so long because I've just completely overlooked Adrian because I love that geezer. I mean, it's been so long since to be honest, I don't think I've ever had a goalkeeper that I've had so much confidence in. When someone goes through on goal, one-on-one, I think Fab's got this. I don't know how many times you can say that in the past where you thought he's getting this. You know what I mean? Unbelievable. Unbelievable keeper. So underrated as well. Like, how has he just played for Swansea and West Ham? Really? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I know he was at Arsenal, but he never really. He got Flapianski there, wasn't he? They called him.
He was
unbelievable keeper.
Did he go after? Did he go straight to Swansea after that?
I think so.
Yeah. But and then, I mean, I've been funny. Swansea, he was their player of the year for many years, keeping them up. And he went down, but he went to Swansea, 144 games. He's played more games. He's played 71 times in the league for us. That's pretty impressive.
That is.
Yeah, so he was injured for half the season last season, which cost Pellegrini his job.
Yeah, true. I should have put Roberto in, or whatever his name was, Gordon Bennett. Oh mate.
Oh, Roberto.
What's
Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? Hindsight's a great idea.
Do you know what? As painful as it was, I've really felt sorry for the geezer.
I did,
because imagine being under that much scrutiny after making their mistakes and knowing everything you do is under a microscope.
Yeah.
How, the pressure under that, like just coming out for a corner, a normal catch, he's just, I don't know, bosh, he's just whacking it away. And you're like, what are you doing, man? But it's just the pressure. Like, we don't understand the pressure that they're under. I felt so sorry for him, but it's so frustrating.
And it is. And it's like, obviously, the effect he has, like a keeper has on the rest of the team, because it all crumbles. It's like dominoes, it's like one of those card towers. He's the bottom bit, and it's like everything else crumbles because, like, defense isn't that good. It's mental. And it made me appreciate Fabianski even more when he wasn't playing because of that exact reason.
Massively.
Mental. Right. Okay. So let's put Fabianski in. Let's go. We'll go 4 at the back. It's easier. Right. Okay. Left back. Who's going to be left back then?
You're going to have to help me out here, because as I said, my memory is poor. So I'm trying to think of a left back before Creswell. What are we talking? Joey O'Brien or something? Who was before Creswell?
Joey, he filled at left back. We had George McCartney.
Georgie boy, he was great, wasn't he? I loved him
solid.
before he went Sunderland and then come back.
Yeah, and he came back. Who else we have? Ilunga.
He was a player, Ilunga.
Pablo Amiro, wasn't it? Colombian.
Yeah. I remember him. Yeah.
Not, Wayne Bridge. We had Wayne Bridge and Wayne Quinn.
I forgot we had Wayne Bridge. we do that, don't we? Some of those random players.
We went for a spell, didn't we, of getting old left backs. So we had like Stuart Pearce, didn't we? Then we had Nigel Winterburn, and we had Chris Powell, and then Chris Powell. He was a good lad. I liked him. Rufus Brevet. Some classic
Rufus Brevet, Gordon Bennett.
They're all getting a shout out today. They're all getting a shout out today, Paul Konchesky, of course.
I love Conch. I love Conch, man.
Yeah, he's
remember that goal he scored in the FA Cup final. He definitely meant that. You know what I mean?
We interviewed him. He said he didn't mean it. He said if I'd scored I scored that now, I could have probably got away with that as a goal because you see some of the ridiculous goals that people score at the moment. But it was a cross.
It was so obviously a cross. He scored against us actually, didn't he? He went Fulham and then he come back. I was in Bobby Moore Lower. It was probably one of the best goals I've seen scored against us. It was an absolute rocket. Do you remember it, Fulham?
Yeah.
It was about 30 yards out. Absolute ping it was.
Top bloke.
Yeah, I love Conch, man. I love Conch. I say this is the trouble though. I love Creswell. He's really picked his game up. He's so much better as a centre back. But I'm trying to think because like my prime, like West Ham was the FA Cup one. Do you know what I mean? And coming up from Championship, like remember like Luke Chadwick and I love Luke Chadwick.
Lovely bloke. We've had him on as well. He's a lovely guy.
Hayden Mullins, like these were proper players, man. I love them.
Hayden Mullins is one of those players that like every generation has one. So like back in the day, it was Jeff Pike, and all the players I've interviewed would put Jeff Pike in their team, but none of the fans would. And then in the mid-90s, it was Pete Butler, and then no one else would apart from the players. And then that era, everyone like Conch, Chadwick, all them lot have all put Hayden Mullins in their team because he just did all that.
Great.
Which is brilliant. Which is so good.
So good. Anyway, that's midfield, left back, man. Man, I hate to do it, but I have to say Creswell, man. I really am. I think he's got such ability.
Yeah, I think when he came from Ipswich, he was brilliant. When he got into the England team, didn't he as well?
Yeah. I think if you went through your stats of your 11s, what percentage do you reckon put Dixie there?
A high percentage. Of
course I do.
A high percentage.
And I wouldn't dispute it. I wouldn't dispute it. But
no, not at all. I think he's the most picked player I think we've had. And we've had 200 20 interviews, I reckon, and he's probably the highest. I think it was over like 50% or maybe 50%, something like that.
Right,
And you wouldn't
shout
begrudge
out
him for
Dixie,
that.
man.
Yeah,
Legend. Just
yeah, it
wasn't
was.
it wasn't in my time because I was
No,
too busy living in a countryside. I'm sorry, Dixie. It's the way it is, bro. You know what
go on.
I mean?
We'll put Krez in. Go on. Let's go right back. Let's go the other side. This is probably just even as hard to the left back, to be honest, with our
Yeah.
recent spate of.
Wait, I tell you, the one that jumped out at me for
Yeah,
right back was Lucas Neal, man. He was
it's a shout.
quality.
Yeah, it's a shout.
Lucas Neal was quality. When he was unbelievable, man. I loved him.
Great captain.
I'm just gonna whack it straight out there. I'm just gonna say Lucas Neal, man. He was
Yeah,
quality.
he was
Loved
brilliant.
him.
Great
Yeah,
captain, like proper
yeah.
captain. We've interviewed
He didn't
like
take no prisoners.
Nah,
Bosh.
nah. We've interviewed like who was it? Who told me? It might have been Anton when we interviewed Anton, and he said that we are talking about Lucas Neal, and he went best captain I've ever worked under,
Yeah,
and
really.
like so much so that he would. There was like one, I think, then there were because they brought him in just before and he sort of kick started the Great Escape type thing, and there was one time he said he basically after training they were training at Upton Park, and he called a players meeting in one of the directors' boxes. So all the players like went up on the lift, okay, and then Curbs and that and Mervyn Day like were the last two in, and Lucas Neal shut the door on them and said, "No, players only, mate." Shut the door on the managers and basically just like shouted, "Look, we've got to fucking sort this out. And
Yeah,
if you don't want to be here, tell me, and I'll make sure you can get. I'll make sure you're out the club." And then
really.
you can imagine that with his big
My
Australian
God.
accent. Do you know what I mean? And he would do things
Yeah,
like he'd go
man.
round and get everyone's a percentage of everyone's win bonus to give to the tea lady and the kit man and like stuff
Yeah,
like that. That's just
that's
like
proper though, isn't it? That's
that's
proper.
like being a captain, proper captain. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
I like Lucas Neal. Right, let's go centre halves then. Who's going to be your first centre half? Now you've got quite a few. This is a tough one, I think. Centre half,
Nah, easy. Ginge, Bosh, in.
Ginge Bosch.
Yeah, I ain't messing about with Ginge. In he goes, man. Absolute machine. I love that. He's the last bastion, proper defender. Do you know what I mean? We don't get
Yeah,
many like him no more. You know, he's like John Terry Ilk, man. He is like, I don't care how good I am at football, but you're getting smashed if you're trying to get past me. Do you know what I mean? That's what a centre back should be all
yeah,
about, in my opinion.
yeah.
Shouldn't be none of
It
this
should be.
fancy John Stones knocking the ball about. Nah, you win that ball with your head, or you just smash straight through him. End of
Yeah,
story. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's true. It's so true. It's like the old fat, yeah. And he's probably like you're right. He's probably the last of that generation of defenders, isn't it? And he
Yeah,
said then they become a bit more cultured, isn't it? It's like you
yeah.
don't get
Well, it's
you don't
modern,
get
isn't
them.
it?
Yeah, it's modern. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because I
The
think
way
there's
they
nothing
are now,
wrong with
like,
having a. It's like nowadays with VAR, you can't do nothing. Could you imagine
yeah,
Julian Dix playing in the VAR world? Do you know what I mean? He wouldn't have
yeah.
played many
Well, no,
games. To
yeah,
be honest.
no, you wouldn't. But like, I remember a little while ago, like, Ginge, what happened, man? I think he got kicked in the head or something, and he
Yeah,
stayed down. And then all the fans were like, "So,
yeah,
oh, Ginge never stays down. You know what a what a wimp or something." And then he come out, he had a big graze across his head, and so he's bleeding and that. It's just like Ginge don't stay down for nothing. Do you know
nah,
what I mean? He's
nah,
straight up. He ain't diving around on the floor looking for soft free kicks, is he? Do
nah,
you know what I mean?
nah.
He's going through them, and that's it.
There's something about that having that sort of never say die attitude. Do you know what I mean? Like he'll put
Mm,
his head on anywhere on that
yeah,
ball, even if it's on someone's foot and stuff. And people respect that, and the fans respect that. And I
yeah.
like a player who gives his shirt meaningfully. Do you know what I mean? So he'd always go over to
Hmm.
Chav Corner, and he'd take his shirt and he'd hand it to not just throw it noncely into the
Yeah,
crowd and let people fight over it.
yeah,
He'd hand it to a kid and then give it a, with all his
yeah,
tattoos and yeah, top
yeah.
bloke, top bloke.
No, I
All
love
right.
Ginge, man.
Let's put Ginge in. And who's Ginge going to partner?
No, now it is tough, yeah, because I like to stick with like homegrown players. Like
Yeah.
I really like a British core, because I just think they understand West Ham more. I think they just get what they mean. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that like foreigners don't, but it's kind of like I don't know, man. I just feel like they're more relatable to me.
I
I
know what you
can't
mean.
relate to someone like Lanzini. I never grew up in like Argentina. I grew up
No.
in England. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people like James Tompkins, I feel like I can relate to Tomps. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I don't know. See, like, just for that reason, I'd like to put Thompson, but I'm just trying to think. Winston Reid, unbelievable defender. It's a shame how
Yeah.
it's kind of petered out a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
It has, yeah, it has really, unfortunately. I mean, he's been here 10 years now. It's his 10th year. We signed him after the 2010 World Cup, didn't we? So, but he's doing,
yeah.
he's doing bits at what's name at Kansas, Sporting Kansas. He's playing all right over there at the moment now. So who knows? He's only on loan, isn't he? So who knows?
Anton was another quality one. I do think he gave away too many free kicks, but you know what I mean. I remember his goal. You remember beating United 2-1. Upson and Anton scored.
Yeah, and he scored that belt against Fulham as well, didn't he?
Yeah, the volley. Like,
yeah. That's what I like about defenders when they just do that. It's almost like just to show they've got it in their locker, but just don't choose to do it all the time. Oh yeah, I can do that all the time. Yeah, but I'll just do it when I want to. You know,
they run rings around us on a 5-a-side pitch, even though they're centre backs. So, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Crazy. Yeah. Who else are we thinking about here, though? Do you know what I mean?
Who else? We got Gabs. We have he obviously came with Ginge, didn't he? Anton. Trying to think who else you would have. One person I always think don't get a good shout out, Elliot Ward. Elliot Ward was integral to us that going up that season. It's a shame because he's a top bloke. But Elliot Ward, and obviously, you know, people like he said Tonks and I mean, it's we're not bereft of choices, to be honest. But I think there's a few there. Again, it's all about eras, isn't it? Really.
I'm gonna go Tonks. 100%. I love him. I was gutted when he left. I was gutted when he left him.
And obviously, when he left, we had didn't we have 2 or 3 centre back injuries where he would probably end up playing as well. It's like a Roberto situation again.
He left because he said he weren't going to get opportunities, and then everyone got injured.
Fair play. He played right back as well.
That's what I mean. He was playing right back as well, wasn't he, to try and keep his place and that.
Mental.
And then, he's actually married to one of my mate's sisters.
Well, there you go. I'd have him back in a heartbeat.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love him.
I think he's just, and you're right. I know what you mean about having sort of homegrown players and relatable. You know, it's like I relate more to James Collins than I do to Winston Reid. Now, that's not saying anything against Winston Reid, but maybe because Collins is, you know, British, so to speak, and homegrown and has that sort of, you know,
he understands, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I just think Winston Reid is a fantastic player, but maybe the fact that he's from New Zealand and he came from Denmark, you know, obviously we've got him from Michelak, it's called.
Michelin,
it might just be that he's more of a different character, and I think fiery characters with West Ham fans resonate better. And, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I remember the days of Julian Dix when he just did he could galvanize a crowd from left back by knocking someone into the hoardings or scoring a 35-yard pinger or a penalty. You know, it's a sad thing that there's not that many players like that anymore now. Because I just think
that's what you want to see, isn't it? You want to see people cheering up the crowd, but with meaning, not just for the sake of it. You want to see them because they want to win. They're not just trying to get a reaction out of the crowd. I want you to do it because you need us to push you on. Do you know what I mean? And that's what Gins used to do. I think who was it, man? I'm trying to think. Who it was. I don't think it was Rice, but someone last season or season before they got like a really it was Sam Byron. He got a last-minute block or something, and Collins went over and they were grabbing him, and it's great. and it weren't even the end of the game. They were just so hyped for him because of his heart. You know what I mean? He was putting on for it, and that's just showing what he means from them.
Yeah, totally. It was like when that goal got disallowed against Leicester. And you saw the defense. I know it's different, but you saw that defense so almost cheer like it was because they kept the clean sheet. Do you know what I mean? Like Bonner and
want that clean sheet.
I mean, the only person I think one of the people who does a lot of the sort of the crowd geeing up, but means he's snoddy because when he's taking the corners, because he's always anyone who takes a corner naturally has an affection with the fans because they're at the corners all the time, and snoddy always goes come on and again,
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean it with 100% intent. I think Robert Snodgrass is the best corner kick taker in the world. I genuinely mean that. Possibly even set piece, not necessarily shooting, but his
Yeah,
delivery is 9 times out of 10 absolutely perfect.
yeah,
Like,
it's
and
true.
not even just good,
No,
perfect.
yeah,
It's phenomenal ability, phenomenal,
yeah.
really
It is. It's true. It's
underrated.
true. We missed him when, like last season, when he was out. I just not only
Mm,
for his set pieces, but just for his energy. He just
mm,
seems he's quite. I mean, he's early mid-30s, something like early 30s,
mm.
but still he's got this energy and just like drive. You know that he'll come on and put it in and put a shift in.
Mm-hmm.
And for too long we've had players who haven't put a shift in. And that's
Yeah.
what I think's the good thing about Moyes. He's getting people to buy into putting shifts in. The players he's
Yeah.
bringing in are putting shit like Check and Sufal and
Oh.
Kufal and people like that and Bowen. They just keep going, and that's what we want to see at West Ham. Right, okay, let's move on. Let's go into midfield. Right, we'll play 4 against easy. Left midfield, left wing. Who are we going to have then, Ash?
This is tricky because there's players I could put in there all day, every day. Like if we're talking like now, you're looking at Demi Payet. If you're going to put him on the left for starters,
Yep,
because he's just one of the best footballers I've ever seen in a West
yep.
Ham shirt. Probably one of the best footballers I've ever seen. Full stop. To be honest
Mm.
with you, I've seen a lot of players. I've seen Ronaldo and all that in the
Yeah,
flesh, but because he played for us, he was just a bit more special. But I've always loved, and my favourite player growing up was Matty Everton. I loved
yeah,
him so much. He was just and I went to the West Ham Way event when it was down at the bowling,
yeah.
and I got to meet him. I bought Matty Everton a Jaeger bomb. It was one of my proudest moments. I had a Jaeger bomb with Matty Everton. I think I still got a video, but I didn't. I didn't even end up making the game. I ended up sitting there drinking shots with Matty Everton, and then I remember just passing out. And then I woke up at home with my head just in a pizza box like that. So, I don't know what happened. I was with Matty Everton 1 minute, and then next minute I'm at home in a pizza box. I don't know how it
Brilliant.
happened,
Love it.
but yeah, I've got to
Top
put
bloke.
Matty in there.
Top guy,
Oh,
isn't he? Oh, he's a lovely
and
bloke.
and and his transparency as well, like
Yeah,
because obviously he dived against us, and he was being interviewed, and obviously that question's coming up, and he says he regrets it, and you're just like, well, what can you do in that moment? You've got like a split
yeah,
second, like a millisecond to make a decision. You made a decision, that's that. Get over it. It
yeah,
sucks, but whatever. And
yeah,
his gambling thing, the transparency of him,
yeah,
you can't say fairer than that. The geezer's like said, look, it is what it is,
yeah,
and I don't know. I love that. I love the sincerity of him. So.
yeah. And he's
It's
another
more
one.
than it's more than just a footballer, isn't it? To me, it's
Yes,
more than just a
yeah,
footballer. It's the person, and
yes.
Matty's a great guy.
He's just relatable, isn't he? Yeah, he's fucked up,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's open about it. And I mean, he's another one. When you talk about 2006, literally his face drops. It's hilarious. It's so
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
so shakes.
Oh, I
But
love
yeah,
Matty so
oh,
much.
he's a top bloke, and he's like one of the last sort of. And we're talking about like James Collins was like one of the last sort of old school defenders. He was one of the
Proper
last
winger,
sort
isn't
of
he?
simple. Like put him on the
Yeah,
right.
get to
He's
the
left
line.
footed. Yeah, left footed. Put him on
Yeah,
the left foot, left
get
side,
down
left
the wing,
footed.
get
Yeah,
to the
and
line,
cross it in.
ping it in.
It ain't hard football,
Yeah.
is it? It's so
Nah,
simple
nah.
sometimes, and I
We
think we
make it hard
overcomplicate.
though.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we massively do.
We put like people on different wings. They cut
Yeah,
inside, and we don't have. We talked about the other day about striker. You don't get like your Tony Cottee people anymore. Now they're all
mm,
forwards, aren't they? And it's like
yeah,
Jamie Vardy is not a striker; he's a forward, and yeah,
yeah.
it's
I've
a shame because football can be so simple. Big man, little one up front, sorted. Two up
Yeah,
front, two wingers.
I've never understood this right footer on the
Oh,
left and left foot on the right because it's the trouble is with it. It's great when it works, but it's
yeah,
so obvious. Like Yarmolenko, he wants it on his left. Do you know what I mean? Bowen wants it on his left. It's just so obvious what they want to do. And if you're a foreign player coming in and you're not too sure about the player, then you
yeah,
might show them onto their stronger foot. That's
true.
why I think when Grady came through for us, he was
Yeah,
doing so well because no one's got who's this Grady kid? I don't know what foot he is,
yeah,
and he's
yeah,
coming in on his left, he's jinking his jack. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
that plays a massive advantage. But as soon as people suss Grady out that he's left footed, they're not going to show him on his left no more. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's very simple, like you say, and get to the line, get that ball in, and then Haller and Antonio can deal with the rest.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
me,
It's not.
anyway.
Yeah, for me too. I just think, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Right, all right. Let's go. Okay, got Matty on the left. Let's go the other wing. Here we go on the right wing. No, Ashley.
Oh, I don't know. I can't really think of many great right wingers. Can't. Who have we had on the right wing?
Gokhan Toure. We had
Yeah, he's the one. Faguli was
Faguli.
all right, wasn't he?
I
I
like
thought he was
Faguli.
decent, man.
You know, do you know he was a good player? Faguli was. Obviously, Mr. Bowen. He's there now, and he. Who did we have? I'm trying to think. We had your era. We had
Yossi Benny.
Yossi. Yossi was a man. He was brilliant.
He was a great player. Joe
He was
Cole.
a great. Yeah, we had Joey Cole. We drift down to the
Freddie
right.
Ljungberg.
That's it. That's the thing. I think till 2006 onwards, we had. Before then, yeah, Trevor Sinclair's a bit before, wasn't it? Before you got involved. Snoddy.
Yeah, Snods.
Yeah, we had
Snod father.
him. We had the Snod father. We had. We used to have loads. We had like of Vaste. He went. He was.
Yeah, I love those two.
I liked him as well. He was what we needed that season, weren't he? Just that to get in to get up. Yeah, I reckon those are probably the main ones. I'm sure there's a million we've forgotten, but yeah, Yoshi was like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Yossi. Yossi.
Yeah.
He was like he's so unorthodox, man. He was so skillful, but he didn't look like he should be good at football. But he was just quality. You got to remember as well. Didn't he play for like Liverpool and Arsenal or Chelsea?
He was the first player, because I did this at a quiz night the other day. He was the first player to score a hat trick in the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup, I think, or something like that. You know, people done it after. He was he was a quality player. Yeah. Such a good player, you know, and likes to tackle as well. He liked to put his foot in training. That's what when we interviewed some of the players and they picked Yoshi in their team. He liked to tackle, did he, old Yoshi? Which looks, you know, it's funny because it looks like a strong wind would blow him over. But
yeah,
and obviously he was another one. You know, he's another one who sort of left and came back, didn't he? Came back on loan. He obviously played 2005, 07, so, those couple of seasons, and he left and came back on loan from Chelsea, I think he was, for a few games.
He was so good.
Such a good player.
That little chip he scored. Oh, do you remember that?
Was that the Fulham game as well?
Yeah, I was thinking that was Fulham. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember he done a fake shot or something, and then just looped it over, and just like, who's even thinking about chipping from there? Like, how did he see that?
It's like people talk about that, like Di Canio's goal and like against Wimbledon, and it's like, well, Trevor Sinclair had crossed that ball in, like thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to give it, I'm going to put it on Di Canio for the volley. No one thinks about why did he cross it. It's like it's the same with that Yoshi. It's like, who would have tried to chip it? And it was like so random because he sort of came in on the side, didn't he, and then chipped it in, and it's like, very weird, but amazing goal. It was right. All right, let's go into centre mid then. Who's going to be your first centre mid? Then Ash. Nobes. Bosh.
Straight in, man. He's once again the last bastion. Like people knock him and say, he's slow. He shouldn't be playing. Maybe he shouldn't be playing nowadays, but still, the service. Who's played like in the Premier League
exactly
for the same club, but then people have an argument and they're like, well, but he's never been good enough to go to another club. Well, you don't believe that for 1 second that no other club's ever come in for him.
Nah,
do you know what I mean? Everyone wants a player off the Premier. It doesn't matter. Like, nah, man. He's just. It'll be a very sad day when he retires. It really will.
It will be. I'm just hoping it's going to be. If it's not, I'm just hoping it's not this year. Because obviously there's no bloody fans in the stadium. You know what I mean? It's like, again, that'd be such a West Ham thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Like he'll retire when there's no bloody fans around. But yeah, and he knows his role is limited now. It is like, he comes on for 10, but then that's the thing. Those 10 minutes, he's going to run his heart out because he's a fan, isn't he? And I just think there's something special about having fans in your team because that's one play you don't have to worry about not putting a shift in.
Yeah, well, regardless of ability, like you say, West Ham are different, and I know everyone says, all clubs just want players to put their all in, but I think West Ham are different in the respect, like we will lose 3-0, but if you can see that they have absolutely slogged their arts out, you'll clap them off the pitch. You'll be like, boys. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, and it's like, he will do that every game.
And he will, and it's like I'm obviously unfortunate enough to be at the stadium at the moment. And then when he's not playing, he sits in the back in like where all the sort of the disabled spaces are, because they're already sort of socially distanced, already 2 meters apart.
Yeah,
You see Nosy there, and he watches it like a fan. He watches it like a fan does.
yeah,
You know, you know he is a fan, but when you see him in fan mode rather than footballer mode,
yeah.
like last year when Yarmolenko scored that winner against Chelsea,
So,
he was like a proper fan. He almost like kicked a hole in the wall. It was like, and literally as soon as the final whistle, he jumped over the barrier to get down the tunnel. He could have easily like done his ankle in, but he was obviously so full of euphoria. He just had to get it done, and he's there, top bloke, top guy.
yeah,
And as you said, he'll be around the club when he'll be staying around the club somewhere in some capacity.
He'll be there. He'll be there forever. I think. I can't see him ever leaving. I think he'll probably go on to manage if that's what he wants to do. But he'll always be in there. There'll be stands named after him. Like just his service, man, alone deserves a lot. Let alone his commitment and his passion and his. That tweet he sent out about Grady, what modern footballer's got the guts to do stuff like that?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
It takes
big balls to do that. Big balls to do that. I know he's earned a lot out of football and stuff like that, and he's coming to the end of his career, but it still takes a big man to come out and just be like, nah, I don't agree with that. To go up against the commercial monster that is football and the Premier League and a Premier League football club. And he deserves all the credit. You hear all the stuff he does through COVID and the dinner ladies calling everyone up, making sure they're all right. That's once again another proper geezer.
He does a lot of stuff without getting recognition. So, like for example, he does he donates his money for writing in the Evening Standard to irons the food banks. Do you know what I mean?
He's just a great guy.
He's such a lovely bloke.
I know it's never going to happen. But for me, for him, for West Ham fans, for sentimental value, you probably know what I'm going to say. Just give him one England cap. Just one.
Yeah.
Just one. You know he's not going to break him, but he deserves it for his contribution to top flight English football. Surely. He was just a friendly. Just let him go. Like
it's the same as Billy Bonds, wasn't it? Famously, it's the same. He's West Ham, isn't he, Ashley? That's the thing. He's West Ham, and
they hate us. They hate us.
Unless you really are someone special, unless you are Declan Rice, and you're clearly the best player probably in the world in your position at the moment. There's not many other CDMs who are as good as him at the moment. It's taken someone of that stature to get into the England squad consistently. It's like Antonio. Why don't you pick Antonio? I know he's injured now, but he's the archetypal player you put on the bench from a striker. Totally different. Get him on and just scare people. Do you know what I mean? Like Toure does for Wolves, and he should be doing that for England easily. But
why are they going to pick Antonio when they can pick Danny Welbeck, who hasn't played a professional game football in 6 years?
Exactly.
It's frustrating, isn't it? It's frustrating, man.
It is, and you go through the whole team, and it's like that. It's like. Even before like our time, as you said, Billy Bonds, Phil Parkes didn't get as many games as he should have done, and and it's just West Ham, and he's always been,
isn't it? Like they say things like, I think it was Southgate, I can't remember. It was like, we're literally going to pick players on form, and that's the end of the story. And then they're picking like Wilshere, who hasn't played a game of football in like 8 months and stuff. And it's like, what is going on? Like,
it's like
what messages that send out to players? It's stupid.
And it's the whole thing with when he said about he had to play Premier League football consistently, and then he picked what's his name, Phillips from Leeds, who in the Championship. He's just been promoted.
Calvin Phillips.
What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all right, we'll put Nobes in. Who's Nobes going to partner in that middle with them? This is a tough one, I reckon.
Easy for me. Declan.
Declan.
This is not now done. I'm trying to. I've got a son due in February.
Congratulations.
It's not now done, but thank you. But I'm trying to whittle her down to naming him Declan because I love the name. It's just so fitting.
And
I love him.
It is a boy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a boy.
Good.
Yeah.
I had the same discussion with my wife and my daughter Paolo, but it didn't. Not Paolo, but no, it didn't work. I managed to get the wedding when we got married. I managed to tell her all I wanted to pick was the colour scheme. She could do whatever she wanted, but I want the colour scheme. And she went, fucking claret and blue, innit? No,
Yeah, 100%.
yes, of
Well,
course.
to be fair, my it was my wife's idea, but when we got married, after you walk out to the song, we walked out
Yeah.
to Unforever Blowing Bubbles
Mm.
on the way out, and then instead of confetti, everyone had bubbles, and they were just blowing bubbles at us as we walked
Yeah.
through, man. Oh, it's
We did that the same,
great
yeah. I
moments.
turned up in
Yeah,
my groom's car was one of those old fashioned sort of um VW campers, ones with like the but it's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
navy blue, and then I had all the ribbons like when you go into the FA Cup final in it. And
Yeah.
yeah, we had the bubbles, and then our first dance was the Dean Martin version of I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles.
Oh,
So yeah,
really? The
so I
Dean
got that in.
Martin version.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, that D Martin version. It's a little bit, just a little bit more weddingy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like allowed, and obviously all the chairs were claret and blue, and I gave all the groomsmen like a West Ham shirt as like when I was sort of thanking them, and I gave my wife one as well, which she wasn't particularly happy about, because it's like Mrs. Button on the back, but
Yeah, you got a
still.
very understanding wife, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, almost, yeah, well, almost 10 years now. Geez,
Oh,
yeah,
congrats,
that's managed to sort itself
man.
out. But yeah, is what it is. But Declan Rice, yes, let's talk about how great Declan Rice is.
Oh, it's just a phenomenal footballer. What he
Yeah,
just makes everything look so easy and simple. And
agreed.
it was just that it was a meteoric rise, wasn't it? He just come out of nowhere and was like,
Yeah,
"This kid's all right." I think he didn't he get hauled off early doors, didn't he? Wonder he had like a bad first half or something. He got nicked off. Is that
yeah, it
Bilic?
wasn't it
Or he dropped
Pellegrini
him, or
put
he
him on.
dropped him, or someone.
Yeah, something
Someone
like
done
that.
something. Either dropped him or hauled him off, and you're thinking, "Oh God, it's just not a good message." And then bang, he's back, and he's just I don't know, man. And you see all these other clubs that are just like, he's overrated. I'm like, you just don't watch him, do you?
No,
Because there's no way any football fan with a brain cell and likes football,
yeah,
understands it, would look at him and think he's overrated.
no,
He
not
would
at
be
all.
worth every penny of 80 to 100 million.
Yeah,
He's
easily.
21, 22. You're getting 10, 13 years out of him.
Oh God, yeah,
He's a and in that market for a player with his ability now, England international, the amount of appearances he's got at his age,
yeah,
and like I said 100 times already, the actual attitude of the geezer,
yeah,
the man himself, the package, not just
yeah,
a prima donna, him as a person, very down to earth, very gentlemanlike, very ahead
definitely.
of his time.
Mm,
I just think he is a phenomenal footballer, and he could pick any team in the world to play for eventually. I genuinely
easily,
think he could go anywhere he wants.
easily.
And that makes me
He could.
sad. It makes me really sad. But
It does, yeah. It brings me back to it brings me all the way back to that golden era where we had like the Lampards and the Carricks and the
yeah,
Rios and
Carrot,
Joes and
Defoe,
and
yeah,
and they and Defoe and Johnson, and they would literally turn up and you go, they're brilliant. How long we got
yeah,
with them, and it was like it was really sad. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, Johnson, he played like 15 games for us or something like that before he fucked off. But
yeah,
he's one of those players. He's just like, see, I wasn't when like in sort of the summer, I wasn't worried about Chelsea because Chelsea had spent all their beans. I was worried about Man City because they
yeah.
haven't replaced their they still haven't
Fernandinho,
exactly. Rodri's not the same
yeah,
player, and can you imagine him and
no.
Foden in that middle with De Bruyne, and it's like, oh. But then I quite like
Just
the way Deck plays now because now he's got Suchek, he's got his sort of partner in crime,
yeah.
and he can come forward a bit more now. And you see, he's got it in his locker, and I just think he's such a great player. Honestly, I think he's
Do
fantastic. I
you
totally agree.
do you know who the F2 are? The F2
Yeah, I know
footballers
you have
on
two boys. Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
Have you seen their one they done with Declan Rice?
Nah,
Because they
nah. I could
actually
imagine.
said they I think they've done a couple with him, but one in
Yeah,
particular they said it's probably staged, I don't know. But anyway, they're like, oh, hit that over there, hit that tiny little goal. It's so far away.
mm,
First time, drops the ball, bang, pings it straight in. And they say, like, we're not joking here. And this was like 2 years ago, possibly. We're not
yeah,
joking. We've played with the best footballers in the world. Declan
yeah,
Rice is one of the best footballers we have ever played with. And this was like 2 years ago.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And these geezers ain't no joke. Do you know what I mean? They've played
No,
with, I think they played with Ronaldo, De Bruyne. Do you know what I mean? All the big
yeah, yeah,
boys.
yeah.
And they're saying that about Rice. Like, if he got forward more, he'd get goals for it because he can ping a ball.
Yeah,
He can ping a ball.
yeah, you
Oh,
can.
I just love him. I love everything about him, man. He is. I pray that he stays with us forever. But he's the prime example of how you should leave a football club, because we kind of resigned to the fact he's going to go eventually.
Yeah.
But you just know he's going to go gracefully and with the fans' kind of best wishes.
Yeah,
Just
it's true.
thanks,
Yeah.
thanks for
We were
everything.
sort of,
Thanks,
you're right. I
thanks for
mean,
the way you conducted yourself. Good luck, man.
totally. I mean, during the summer, we were sort of like not pushing him out the door, but it was like, he's going to
Yeah.
go and he's going to be a great player and we're going to see him flourish and It's like, we ain't left yet, you know.
Yeah, I
He's
know.
like, but he ain't going to go on strike if we reject a 20-30 million pound bid. You know, he knows his worth. He's not stupid. But also he knows, I've got these sort of weird claret tinted glasses when it comes to Declan Rice, because he knows he's not stupid. He's very astute, particularly when it comes to social media, and he knows. You know, I mean, like Mark Noble, for example. You know, if Mark plays a 6, we put him down for a 7. Do you know what I mean? Because he's Mark Noble.
That's true.
And you know, he could be a fantastically massive fish in a very small pond if he stayed at West Ham. But who knows? We don't know, do we? We just don't know. It's football, man, isn't it? Football, nothing surprises us in football now. You know, but I reckon
Another thing. Another thing, sorry to interrupt. Another thing that he does this unbelievable, which I suppose is probably just luck more than anything. But when is he ever injured?
Yeah.
Literally, how has he never been injured? The way he plays football, and he's playing like two or three times a week at one point, like Christmas and stuff. And you're just like, and he's playing 90 minutes every game, 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And he's another one, isn't he? 100%er every game, 100%er.
Yeah, and even that Newcastle game, and everyone was like, "Oh, yeah," because he didn't play at Newcastle game, did he? Because he already played 2 international games already, or you know, so he came, or he was, you know, when it's like, oh, you know, and you know, Deck plays a 7 out of 10, and everyone thinks, oh, his head's turned. No, he's just played a 7 out of 10. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know, it really winds because he's set his bar so high that if a little bit low, that's it. He's off to Chelsea. That's it. So, for God's sake, you know, poor guy that's slightly off game. But I mean, he played every minute of every Premier League game last season. I think only 4 people have done that.
Phenomenal player.
Yeah,
he's phenomenal, and his heart's in it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think sometimes people forget that footballers are just normal blokes going to work. They might love their job more than most, but you know, I'm sure there's times where people like they get a bit of a clatter in football, and they're like, oh, do you know what? Could do with a week off. It really hurts, mate. It really hurts. Yeah, I know there's nothing there, but it's like bruised or something. Do you know what I mean? And then they come off. But he's just no. I'm in. I want to play every game. Get me in. Do you know what I mean? What a player.
And he's just enthusiastic, you know. When you interview him after the game, you know, they take him straight off, and
love his interviews.
He just loves his football. He's just different, and he's like, he's not like, he hasn't had that beaten out of him, you know. He's, you know, sort of like, oh well, the boys played well today, you know, like boring. He's like full of enthusiasm. Yeah.
And
he
talks like a fan.
Buzzing, you know. It's like he feels how we feel. That's what I love about him.
Yeah, no, I love him, man. And I've actually spoke to him through Twitter DMs a couple of times. Like, not like I'm saying, well, we're pals, you know, we DM each other all the time. But you know, when I've done the Rice Baby song and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've got an affinity with Deck, and I feel like there's not many players that could leave West Ham, and I would always keep an eye on how they're doing.
Yes,
but I will. If he goes to Real Madrid, I'm watching Real Madrid games because I want to watch Deck. Simple as that. Because I just see him as a West Ham boy. Simple as that now.
Yeah, and that's what we have. I get that same feeling. It's funny when it comes to Rio. I still see Rio as a West Ham boy. Well, none of the others I did. Obviously Joe, but not like Carrick or Lampard or Glenn Johnson. But Rio, for some reason, I don't know why. It might just be the affinity with him.
He was though, wasn't he? He was like
I mean, Anton's a massive West Ham fan. You know, we've spoken at great lengths about how he still loves the club and stuff, and they all love the club. But with Rio, I just think, you know, he had such an illustrious career, but you know, I was watching it as a bit like you were saying with Declan Rice. There's no where Declan goes next. We'd still follow him with fond memories because of what he's given it. I mean, the guy's played over 100 games for us at Premier League games. He's 22. It's mental.
I love him that much. He's 10 years younger than me, and I want to name my son after him. So that's how much I love Declan.
There you go. There you go. As I said the same thing to my daughter, Javier Margas, but no, I didn't.
Well, it was Paolo.
Sorry, that's a middle name. Paolo One Chop, Di Canio, Budden. That's it.
Paolo One Chop. Oh God.
I used to love Palo on chop. My brothers and I remember when I was young, my brother and sister used to call him lamb chop. They couldn't. It was just
Lamb
always
chop,
I always used to call him Palo lamb chop. Anyway, right up front, 2 strikers. Who's your first striker?
Tevez.
Carlitos.
Very a very short-lived stay with West Ham.
Yep.
But he is one of them footballers, had a very tough upbringing, which I kind of relate to a little bit. And he when he moved along to United and that, I remember when he came back, I think it was for the first time. It was United he went to first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he came back and he stood in the centre of the bowling and he done that to all 4 corners. And I remember that and I was just like, do you know what? You get it. You get it. Do you know what I mean?
I don't remember anyone doing that until Tevez did that.
No,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's pictures of people in the 70s and 80s when they signed, they did that. But he was like, now it's like everyone does it. You know what I mean? It's like he did it playing for an opposition player, an opposition team. You know, I just think, no, he's a dude, isn't he? I mean, as you said, he's short-lived, but his impact on the club and obviously was phenomenal.
He gets it. He gets West Ham.
Yes,
he gets it. Like I know he's only here for a little while, but like that's the impact. Like the memories that he gave us, like they're strong and they live long, probably live forever. You know, I still got the greatest escape DVD, and it's not even about that. It's just I remember when he scored it because he was just having no luck, was he? Nothing was going right for him. You know, Pardew. I think Pardew had him come in, and he was like, I didn't want these players great, but I have to make a stand, so I ain't going to play them. So it shows that I'm in control. And then he did play him. He was just, nothing was going right for him. And then when he pinged that, it was a free kick, wasn't it? He pinged that free kick in, and then he jumped in the crowd. You see what it meant to him. And then just went from strength to strength. He's just a dogged, rugged, just get in there, little bulldog approach, snapping at your heels. I don't know. It's something about Tevez where I just feel he got West Ham. He really understood what it meant to the fans, what it meant to play for West Ham. He see it as a bit of an honour, and he came back with massive respect towards West Ham. I love him.
Well, I remember the Argentina game. Do you remember when obviously they came and played at Upton Park randomly, and he came off the bench, and he wasn't at West Ham at the time, but still, it was like the most incredible welcoming for a sub ever. You know what I mean? It's like, but he was brilliant. It was Anton again. Actually, we were chatting to Anton and we spoke about Carlos and he said this story which I sort of always regale people with when they pick Tevez. I think it's brilliant. So Carlos was so wanting to be part of the team, part of the boys, that he would bring his interpreter everywhere he went. He didn't bother learning English, but he brought an interpreter. So much so they were at some nightclub in London. And Carlitos turned up, and this interpreter's on the dance floor with him, and so and Anton, so you can imagine like doing some other him sweating profusely, doing like Argentinian tango or something like that, and like trying to like literally having a 3-way conversation with Anton, and on the dance floor, it's brilliant. Honestly, such a funny guy. But could you imagine them? I just felt they looked like they'd been bundled into the back of a car and just like opened the door and pushed out Upton Park and go, right, you play for them now.
that was crazy because back then when that happened, it was all about newspapers then. There was no Twitter. There was like teletext and all that nonsense. It was like I remember I was sitting in Sainsbury's. I used to have a fry up on a Friday morning. And I was sitting there and on the back page, Tevez and Mascherano holding a West Ham shirt up. And the reason I knew that was like such a crazy transfer was because pretty much from day dot since I fell in love with football, which granted was at a later age than most, I was just been fascinated by Football Manager and Championship Manager. I don't know if you played them. Just besotted with them. So I like, while my memory's terrible, I could tell you how tall John Terry's left toe is. Like my stats, I could just remember like their ages, their heights, and all that. It's crazy. But so I just knew Tevez and Mascherano on that game were just phenomenal. Like you couldn't get them. And now they've both just signed for West Ham on deadline day. I was like, what is happening here? Do you know what I mean? That was all weird as well, wasn't it? Was it that Kia Jorchubin or something?
Yeah, it was weird.
Going on.
I remember getting like literally like the CEO of my company like coming up to me, slapping my back, going, "Well done." I was like, "Thank you." Yeah, I was integral in that negotiation process. And it's like you were like. It was just mental. It was just mental, and it was like it was the first time that it came out of nowhere, didn't it? It just literally came out of nowhere.
Well
Oh,
done.
excellent.
Yeah,
Well done.
brilliant.
Thank you
See, I've
so much.
never understood that. I've
Yeah.
never understood that when people say that when you say, "Oh, my wife's pregnant." Oh, well done. Yeah, cheers. I've
Yeah,
done really
well,
well.
I suppose I had to be there for like at least 30
Yeah,
seconds of that, to be
yeah,
honest. But yeah, thank
exactly.
you.
I've never understood that. Congratulations is more fit, and not about well done.
Well done. It's like, yeah, well, I sort of
Yeah,
play. Yeah, like, well, yeah,
yeah,
it takes two of us to do it. But yeah, I'll take it. I'll
yeah,
take the plaudits. But
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
no, it's what it is, man. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Carlos is up front. Who's the last place? We've got one more spot, Nanash.
Um, the standout is fairly obvious for me. Obviously, it'd be Dean Ashton, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go for Dino because Simone Zaza was quite a player, wasn't he? Do you know what I
That's a
mean?
good point. I was about to say I said you forgot Jonathan Calleri in that mix. So
Oh, golden, wasn't it? He's another
two
man.
Argentinians up front.
Oh God, what do you do? No, I'm trying to think. To be fair, because as much as I love Dean Ashton, and I did love Dean Ashton,
Yeah.
not as much as most. I've always, I thought he was very good, but he's just, I don't know. I love him as a person once again, but I'm more leaning towards like Bobby Z, Marlon Harewood. Like I still got the newspaper article of Marlon Harewood with his shirt off when he fired us into the cup final and all that. Like
Yeah.
just such great memories. But then even then, who else we had? We've had, great Mido. Do you know what I mean? John
Yeah.
Carew,
John Carew.
Freddie Picquion.
Freddie
Yeah,
Lundberg. He's
Freddie
more of a winger.
Lundberg.
Yeah. Freddie
Freddie
Picquion.
Picquion. Yeah,
I'm trying to get.
we've had.
He's coming on the channel soon. Oh, Freddie. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, I love them players like John Pansel.
Oh, John Pansel.
I've had
Oh,
John
what
on
a
the
ledge.
channel. And I mean, Luke Chadwick, as I said, he's only been he played like 30 games, or he didn't play that. He got injured. Like he was there out of the. But yeah, who else we got? We got Dino. Obviously Antonio. We've got Antonio. He's doing it with Craig Bellamy for a while. He was good.
Oh,
Sacco.
yeah.
Sacco.
Yeah, Sacco. Yeah, Sacco's quality. And John Pansel, quickly before we go on, I remember him. Do you remember when he done a lap of honour on his own at the end of the season?
Yeah,
he just kept going around, and then it come over the tannoy. Can John come to the dressing room?
Come to the Jem did it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, no, he was nuts. When we interviewed him, it was like because everyone's lovely about the fans, but he had this sort of like. I don't know what game John. I don't know what fans John was referring to, but he was like, "Oh, I love the West Ham fans. Honestly, they would sing my name."
Then we did, didn't we? We sing like number one is John Pansel.
So yeah, exactly. But it was like every game they loved me. The chicken run. I love that they love my fans and I love them. I was like, okay, John. He's bless him. He's still in his little bubble. Yeah. Good luck to you. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
Can't forget Savio. So I'm just going through my list.
Savio, God,
Savio.
Isn't he in jail for pretending to kidnap someone?
He tried to kidnap himself, didn't he?
Yeah, West Ham, isn't it? It's what we do.
Like Nikita Jelavic, don't forget Nikita Jelavic. Andy Carroll. Andy Carroll, he's on his day.
Nah, man. Yeah, I'm sick of hearing that. On his day, there weren't enough of them, was there?
There weren't enough of them. And then he goes to Newcastle and plays 90 minutes against us.
Yeah, and then who did he nearly kill within 5 seconds of the game? Bosh, elbow straight in the chin.
Yes.
Was it Suchek or something? He just went straight up, smash.
Yeah, it might have been Bowen. I thought it was Bowen. I got a feeling it was Bowen.
Yeah, maybe. It was someone who just smashed the bits, didn't he?
Yeah. Arnautovic.
Yeah, see, that's who. When we first started this, and I was trying to think in my head of like the players going forward, he was the one that jumped out. But as I said before, I'm trying to go on characters as well, like the person. I just think he's an arse, man.
He was, he was a bastard, but he was our bastard for those couple of seasons.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Carlton Cole. See, another one, like he's just so jolly, isn't he? I love him. Another player that's not blessed with footballing ability, but he was blessed with heart, big heart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think the same with Zamora, man. I don't know. This is really tough. The hardest one so far, the last striker. because I know the obvious pick is Dino. It really is. But
But he's
I
not your
I
pick,
don't know.
so he's,
I
don't worry
don't want
about
to
it.
pick him. Yeah,
Don't
I
pick
don't
him
want to
then.
pick. Sorry,
It's your
Dino.
team, man.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Sorry,
Don't then.
Dean.
I won't.
You know what I mean?
Fine.
Yeah. I think I am gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Carlton Cole. I am.
Mm,
I loved him. He's another
yeah.
one. Like I said, I've said that after every player I've picked. I said I loved him. And that's
That's
because I
what,
do. Every
that's
player
what,
I do, I love.
yeah.
Carlton Cole, like I say, not blessed with football and ability, and
No,
I'm sure he'd be the first person to tell you that.
yeah.
But he had the, like Ranieri said when he was at Chelsea, he had the heart of a lion, or he was his
Yeah.
lion. And I just feel like he popped up when we really needed him quite a few times, didn't he? Unsuspecting, just he was there. Yeah, I love Carlton. I
He's
love them
like
all. I love West
typical
Ham.
West Ham player,
I
though, wasn't
mean,
he? He's like, West
yeah,
Ham turn up for like 3 games a season, and then
yeah,
Colton would have like I remember someone mentioned the Tottenham game where he scored an absolute worldie, and he did. I went back and
yeah,
watched it, and literally in the next passage of play, almost he gives the ball away to Defoe, who scores
yeah.
he scored. You know, it's just
Was
like
that?
it's brilliant.
Was that 25-yard curler that he done?
Yeah,
He just come out of nowhere, just pinged it in, and you're like, what? You can do that?
exactly.
Where's that
Exactly.
come from, Carlton? You know what I mean?
I can't
And he's
even
got one of
know.
the best West Ham songs of all time, isn't he? Carlton, Carlton.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, one of the greatest.
It's like when he was on Soccer AM the other day with Ginge, and he didn't score.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, I see that. It was hilarious. I just thought it's such a West Ham thing to do,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
He lost me. I remember when I was really struggling to pay my rent, like many
yeah,
years ago, and it was it the year we went down, Wigan.
yeah,
Didn't he? Yeah. And I think I was watching it on Sky Sports News, and Carlton. I can't remember what the reason was. He either needed to score, we needed to score, something needed to happen,
yeah.
and it was like, oh, and Carlton Cole score. I was like, and I've won like 600, 700, 800 quid or something. And then I was like, oh my god, he's missed. How has he missed? And then he lost me like so much money. And it's just Carlton Cole, isn't it? I mean, it's West Ham, it's Carlton Cole. They go
Yeah,
hand in hand. That's why he has to go in. Simple as
yeah.
that. He is West Ham, and
Yeah, he is. He is. And that does it. That does it, Ashley. That does the 11, man. There we go.
I'm happy.
Wasn't that painful, was it? It was
No, I
nice.
loved it, man.
I liked you not like having like it all in your head, because like it was quite cathartic.
Yeah.
It was like, it was I could see your struggles going through. Do you know what I mean? It was like
No, it's hard for me, man. I know when you post this
turmoil.
or whatever, I know everyone's going to be like, this geezer knows nothing. I swear on
Nah.
my life, yeah. My memory is
Oh,
terrible.
mine's awful.
Like, really bad. I know I love West Ham as much as the next person, but I cannot remember the life of me, like, players. I can remember players, but it's really hard to, when you say, oh, who's your best left back? I'm thinking left back. All I can think is Quizwell. My brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
good, man. But it's been fun. It's been
no, I
nice. It's
loved
been
it.
great, man. It's been great chatting to you. I really, really appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
no. Thanks
Good,
for
man.
having me on, man. It's been
Absolute
great.
pleasure. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching as well, or
No.
watching on the YouTube. How old am I? On the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah,
Make
man.
sure you give it a share, give it a like. If you're watching it, listen to it on podcast, Spotify, whatever, Apple, Google, whatever it is, give it a like, give it a share. And from me and from Ash, take care, everyone. Stay safe, wash those hands, come on, you irons, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care. Much love.